And you guys talk about it as like, hey, like we're just married, and like actually sex isn't like this easy thing we're told that it is.
Right.
We think it's going to be this really easy, totally organic thing. And I love, one of the things you guys are really good at is talking about scheduling sex.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to hear about that, because that is when we talk with couples about scheduling sex, people are so resistant,
really
right? Like
resistant.
that
Everyone's like, that is not sexy at all. Oh my gosh.
And you guys are really normalizing. So I want to hear all about your take on scheduling sex.
Yeah. So first of all, I can say when I first heard about scheduling sex, I thought like, this is the worst idea in the world. Who came up with this and thought that this was a great idea? And I had that same reaction, that feeling of like, oh man, if you have to schedule it, that means something's really wrong. Like you guys are not a good fit. You're not compatible. So I had that reaction too. And then life caught up to us. Like we got into a really busy period of our lives where Xander was working and kind of in corporate America. He was working at Google, working really long hours, a lot of stress. And I was going through, graduate school or doing my hours towards licensure, something like that. And we were just, really starting to drift apart and feeling very disconnected and getting into that stage where you're like, when was the last time we had sex? Like, I can't quite remember. And so we decided to start doing it. And initially still like had that kind of like, things are not good. But we started playing around with it in different ways. And I think that's really the secret that we discovered with scheduling sex is it's the way that you schedule it that really matters. So of course, if you approach it in this very cold, clinical, like, okay, it's going to be, 8:13 p.m. on Wednesdays, and we will meet in the bedroom. You will
put
be
it
wearing
in the calendar.
and I will, like, of course, if you do it that way, like that's not going to feel very fun. But we started playing around with different ways of doing it and realizing that when we scheduled it, it actually created this sense of anticipation for both of us of like, ooh, there's something to look forward to. And it started reminding us of like early in our relationship, because I think this is the big thing that so many of us get wrong is that we look back at the early stages of our relationship and we think, oh, everything was so spontaneous back then.
It was
so easy. Why can't we just go back to that? But if you really think about it, like, what are you doing at the beginning of a relationship? Like you're scheduling dates with each other. You're putting stuff on your calendar. You're having to make that effort of, ooh, he wants to go on a date with me on Wednesday, but shoot, I've got to make sure that I like get that project done in time. And I want to like go to the gym beforehand or like play around with my outfit. Like we do all of this, work at the beginning of a relationship. And we look at it in that period as being really exciting. Like who doesn't remember getting ready for a date and spending like hours, and like there's nothing spontaneous about any of that. It's just your attitude about the planning is different. So that for us was really the main lesson of like, yeah, sure, we can approach it in this cold, like our sex life is dead, we have to now schedule it. Or we can approach it as how do we bring back some of that excitement, that anticipation, that planning that we used to love so much at the beginning of our relationship.